welcome back to the channel. Excuse the mess here. I've been outside. It's really windy today, so I wanted to talk to you inside. Sorry, I had to move that. A little bit today about tomatoes. That little clip that you saw before this started though was I did go to a nursery. Every year I think that I will not spend money on pansies because once the weather gets really hot, they kind of fade away. I can't help myself. It's the first flowers of the season and I always end up going and getting them no matter what I tell myself. So anyway, I want to talk to you today about tomatoes. The crop that I probably grow, well, in fact it is, the crop I grow the most of would be tomatoes. And I would tell you it's my favorite thing because I grow so many different kinds, but I have so many favorites that it's kind of hard to say. But when I get ready to process what's out of my garden, almost everything I process involves tomatoes. So tomatoes are a big part of my growing. I want to go, well, first before I show you some kinds and my favorite kinds, I want to talk to you about determinate versus indeterminate tomatoes. There's two kinds. Well, there's actually three. There's semi-determinate tomatoes. Determinate tomato is a plant that will grow to a certain height, or it has a certain growing season and then it stops. And all of its fruit is usually produced at once. Indeterminate tomato will just keep growing and keep producing over the season. A semi-determinate tomato will keep growing some, but it gets smaller and maybe the fruit will get smaller on it. So you can kind of see it's fading away, but you can see that it's trying to keep going. So anyway, when you're selecting your tomatoes or tomato seeds, that might be something that you want to look at because that will determine the structure of the plant and how big they get. I do both. We grow ours on a fence, a cattle panel fence, so ours can get pretty tall. And kind of sometimes if they're really big, they'll just kind of lay over the top. So yeah, that's something that you want to look into if it matters to you. Like if you're growing your tomatoes in a pot, chances are you want a determinate tomato and not an indeterminate tomato. So it'll stay within the bounds of where you want it on your patio. So anyway, I wanted to talk to you about that. Now we're going to get into tomatoes. I'm going to tell you what my favorite ones are, my things that I grow every year and why I love them so much. And then I'm going to show you a couple of new things that I'm growing this year that I haven't tried yet. And so one of the things that I grow every year is the mortgage lifter tomato. Let's see if I can, I'm not good at this yet. So the mortgage lifter tomato, it is a large beefsteak style tomato and it's good for hamburgers, tomato sandwiches, whatever, but I use a lot of those when I make salsa. Very meaty. They're just delicious tomatoes. And they're big. It got its name because I believe it was the man who developed it actually ended up growing them and paying off his mortgage by selling tomatoes. So those are awesome. Another one of my favorites is, and I'm going to say it wrong, I'm sure, but I call it Dr. Witchy's. There we go. We got to focus on it. Dr. Witchy's tomato. It's a large yellow tomato. I will throw, even though yellow tomatoes are supposedly less acid, I will throw some of these into my salsa. Always. I add a little bit of apple cider vinegar to it anyway, so I kind of up the acidity when I'm making salsa anyway. But I love the flavor of those. Those are wonderful tomatoes. And another tomato that's good for making sauces is the Amish paste. These are pretty good size. I love them. They're a wonderful tomato. Very meaty, less juicy, but a lot of meat. And the way I make my salsa, which I'll do a video on it and show you, but the way I make my salsa, I try to remove as much water as I can out of the tomato before I make it so that I end up with a really thick sauce. It makes such a difference in flavor. Another one that I use is Brandywine. I always grow Brandywine. There's red and Brandywine pink, and somewhere I have some Brandywine pink seeds, but I haven't laid my hands on it. I put them somewhere really safe, right? Okay, one of the favorites, and this is a cherry tomato, but it is the black cherry or cherry chocolate tomato. These are delicious. They're beautiful. They take on kind of a dark purplish brown color, and that's why some people call them the cherry chocolate. These are great. You can like have them in salads, and they have a wonderful, beautiful color. This tomato, Kellogg's breakfast tomato, is, well, I'm a tomato sandwich eater. I love me a good tomato sandwich. And this is truly my favorite tomato sandwich tomato. It is a big beefsteak style tomato with a delicious flavor. So if you've never tried a Kellogg's breakfast tomato, you should try those. Those are good. The black packets that I'm showing you are from Baker Creek Seeds. You can get them other places as well. There is a Paul Robeson tomato that has a delicious flavor. This one is from Baker Creek as well. Sorry, had to turn around there to see. This is not a huge tomato, but it is a flavorful tomato. And so I like to grow those. Let's see. Dark Galaxy tomato, I'm gonna try again. I was not really successful with it in the past, but I'm gonna try it again this year. I have some started down in my little greenhouse area. So that's a beautiful tomato though. And then there's a pink bumblebee. There is also sunrise bumblebee, and I don't know, there's like 3 or 4 different colors of bumblebee tomatoes, and they're little cherry tomatoes, very flavorful, multicolored, and I just love these little things. But these are the pink bumblebees that I'm showing you. So those are tomatoes that I have. Those are my must grow every year. I grow those. This year, I'm gonna try a couple of other things, and I talked to you about the Baker Creek seed catalog where you can get amazing things, and most of those were from Baker Creek. But as I was thumbing through here this morning, I'm like, oh, I didn't notice this. It's called the Evil Olive. And so, isn't that pretty? It's supposed to have delicious flavor, and I got on and ordered myself some seeds. And on the bottom of the same page is called Green Doctor's tomato. They're little green, and they're supposed to be the most flavorful tomato there is. So we're gonna try those. I've ordered the seeds. I haven't got them in yet. So those will be new for this year. I am also ordered, and I've already planted these, indigo blue chocolate. Aren't those gorgeous? I like multicolored tomatoes for salad, but those are just so pretty. So I'm gonna try those this year. I'm excited about that. And Costolota Florentino. Look at that. Look at the shape of that tomato. Isn't it beautiful? This is why I get so excited about my tomatoes every year, because there's just not any two that I grow that are exactly alike. And this Thorburns Terracotta has got such a beautiful flavor, or beautiful color. I don't know what the flavor is yet. I have not tasted them, but that is really pretty. So, and I'm gonna try some of these. Usually I will try things more than one year, because you might have a bad year with something, and that doesn't mean that you can't grow it or the seeds are bad. It just means that your season for that year just didn't work out for those. Because I grew, there's a tomato, and it actually is delicious. I'm looking for it here in my seed catalog real quick for you if I can find it. It was a Brad's Atomic Grape tomato, and they were amazing. And the first year that they came out, I grew them and I loved them. They come on so pretty, and then all of a sudden they rotted on the vine. Every one of them, on the bottom of them, they just rotted. And so I thought, oh, these aren't so great. But then I tried them the next year. They were, and honestly, the first year I grabbed a few and I wasn't crazy about the flavor, but the next year I grew them and they were amazing, and the flavor was also delicious. But this is what they look like. And they are multicolored like that. And it depends on how much sun they get as to what the colors change to. So anyway, that is so far what I've got going for tomatoes. And that is my all-time favorites that I plant every year, no matter what. And it gives me a good variety. And if one doesn't, you know, do really well, you've got something that you can use in place of it to make your salsa or your spaghetti sauce or whatever it is you want to can in fall, or just to eat on your burger or have your tomato sandwich. So anyway, thanks for joining me on the channel today. If you would like, subscribe, and share, I would appreciate it. It would help me out a lot. And I hope you get those tomato seeds started. Thanks.